Welcome back to the Angry Craftsman. Today we're going to talk about the Thunder Aurora 8s. As you see here, we have the version 1 and version 2. Version 1 for us is a 50 watt non-pro fiber, which you've hopefully seen the videos on. And the version 2 is the 5 watt UV. So today we're going to talk about some of the differences in version 1 versus 2. Some of the things that I found that I like, some of the things that I found that I don't like, a few comparisons here and there. So stay tuned and let's see what we find out. Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about is I have the machine on. I'm going to turn it off just so we can go back through it. I'm going to kind of bounce around between pros and cons on this, and also talk about some things that are just fact. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. Maybe some things if the factory wants to change, potentially could be welcome change. So again, when you look at here to turn it on, you have one key and only one key. I didn't find a second key, so if that gets lost, a kid comes through and takes it and hides it somewhere, that has the potential to be a problem. So the key's on. We have green lights on the sides. That is a plus compared to the older version, which you have the stack light up on top. When it's actually running, the green light turns red. So once it's on, I have a red dot here that you probably can't see, but nothing's going to happen until I hit the on button. Just a redundancy system. It's kind of like the CO2 lasers where you have two switches. So just kind of keep that in mind. That is what it is. I don't know about having a key, maybe a toggle switch like the Novas do. Has the potential to be a little bit better because you can't steal a toggle switch. But I sure can take one key and make it disappear. So, you know, that one thing, whether it's a positive or a negative, the door is definitely a positive. It's a closed system with one window. That is something that, you know, my wife and I kind of talked about, is it'd be nice if there was a window on the left or the right side. Left side, obviously in this situation, because we're right up against the wall, something to consider. We do like the pass-through though. And I'll bring the camera in closer here in a bit to show you the pass-through and not really how it works, because I'm not taking it off. But the fact that you can keep the door shut with something longer in there. So that definitely is a plus compared to the old one. The old one has no pass-through. Still the one bigger door. The newer models. Okay, so as I said also, here's the pass-through. Take off these 4 screws. And then this opens up so that you can let something pass through it. Those that are trying to compare are more rounded versus the square. You still have your emergency stop. This one's ginormous. You can walk into it. That one is a little bit smaller. So, you know, I haven't hit it yet. I've hit this one only once or twice by the way we work with it. So, you know, those are a couple, you know, whether it's positive or negatives, however you want to look at it. One of the issues that we found is because it is closed, and it's never an issue with safety, it's an issue with you can only get so much height and such big or larger lenses. So I don't have the capabilities to do really thick stuff because I can't go up stupid high. Am I ever going to? No, not really. Same thing with the fiber. The only thing that I've found is you can't put a tumbler in the fiber with the 200 millimeter lens and expect to do it, because you can't get the height on this machine. So the same thing would apply whether it's the fiber or the UV. So here's one of the drawbacks to this is, I mean, I absolutely love the concept of the door, but if I go all the way up and I hit, the door drops back down a little bit. I don't have the clearance up high to put this thing any higher. It's not big of a problem for the Hobbit that I am married to, but for somebody my size, which I am not very tall, this gets to be a pain in the butt. I've smacked my head a couple times trying to look in there, but I'm also the dumbass that smacks her head on the little wooden bar above the sink because I'm trying to lean over too far. So you got to take that into account when I'm talking about this. So if they had a little bit more of a counterbalance inside of the machine, or a little bit heavier, that would be a nice thing, but it's not like it's the end of the world. Here's the rotary. On the older model, the rotary is way up top. I would have liked to have seen that a little higher up. One of the other issues that we have is we have this opening here for the vent. There's no way to pull this grate off to clean out behind it, but at least on the fiber, the version 1, this was a positive thing. So, you know, we can still wipe that off. It's nice and easy to do. So it is what it is. Whether I'm just being a nitpicky asshole about little things like this, you take it for yourself. One of the biggest things that I am not happy with is the T-track bed. I've become accustomed to the style bed, which is a standard, it seems, in the industry for fixture plates. However, the T-track does have its good and its bad. We've designed jigs and hold downs to fit inside of it, so that's nothing but a thing for us. It may be a little noisier than I've got both machines on, but I wanted to talk about the T-track bed versus the older style bed that most people are accustomed with. So what we did was we came up with the same style clamping system as the CNCs, the T-bolts, and then we've printed these so I'm able to adjust and slide as necessary. I can adjust and slide this into just about any position that I want, but I also have it so that you can run these through it and tighten them down if that's what you choose. But you know, so far when you're talking about repeatability, once you've got it set, you're repeating it over and over and over again. Same thing over here. Now we'll look at this one. That's a little bit smaller, just because we've changed some models. But for this, I have to physically line up holes, and you can see where generally as I've screwed up my center. So I have to adjust. I can't really adjust this to make center sometimes. For this style, I would have to adjust in Lightburn and move the image or what I'm engraving around the page instead of keeping it center. So like I said, some drawbacks, some positives. This one I keep everything center, and then I can just adjust as necessary around it. So look into something like this to help you, if that's what you want, or come up with your own, or contact us. We haven't put any of these on the website yet with the other laser accessories that we sell, but I really don't give a shit if you buy them or not. So they work for us, and that's all that matters to me. I'm used to this for my CNC, but when you go to put the rotary on there, you have these grooves, and as you slide the rotary around, the rotary has a tendency to drop in there. Also, if you buy the chuck rotary, it's got screw holes so that it can be screwed to this style plate. There would need to be some retrofitting if you want to properly secure it. Now, for the most part, the chuck rotary is heavy enough that it stays put, so you may not have to worry about that, but it's just, again, me being a nitpicky ass, these are some of the things. Now, this T-track does come off. There's 4 screws inside of the tracks that hold it in place. You take those 4 screws out, you can turn this over and it has a whole different bottom side, which would be fantastic for the rotary. Absolutely fantastic. However, what they did not do is countersink the screw holes on the bottom side so that you could make it flip-flop. All they would have to do is not drill the hole all the way through it, or is, countersinking is deep, and then change a screw out. It would appear to me something to think about, but you can pull this out. It can flip over. It's just a little, it's not secure, so it doesn't wobble. It sits like it's supposed to, but it shimmies and slides. So that may be a problem. I haven't really tried too much of that yet. Along with the bed, you know, when we start getting into the backside there where all the electronic components are and up top, the fans are a little noisier than I would have liked. But again, I think that's just me being a nitpicky ass. It's hard to hear the UV sing when you've got that proper focus. The UV and the fiber have a tendency to sing, and it's very difficult because the fans are loud. Now, the exhaust fan that comes with it is a 4-inch, which is nice. One issue that I'm seeing is because at times the speed of the UV, just like the fiber, the exhaust fan has to spool up like it does with the CO2 lasers. And right now there is no way to make that come on, make it spool all the way up, and then shut off. Or make it come up early and then shut off. The TL timer makes it shut off after the fact. So that's a normal thing. But there's times where the job's over and it's finally getting spooled up and then shutting down. I'm really not interested in switching it out with some other, you know, inline fan that has a remote. I would love for the factory to figure out how to make that work so that I can turn the fan on, whether it's changing fans or turn the fan on so that it works. And I've tried going into the TL timer and flipping the little switch. That leaves the fan running the entire time. If you're in an air-conditioned shop, a 4-inch fan, you're going to lose your climate control pretty quick. So, you know, that's kind of one of the drawbacks. But, you know, for having everything built in, having your exhaust system, a fan that comes with it, and everything you need right out the box, that is definitely a plus compared to other lasers where you've got to figure out your own exhaust and you got to buy all the hoses and all that other nonsense. So what may look like a drawback is a positive. The fact that it all comes together and it's one price that's comparable with everybody else's. But start breaking down the fact that you get a 4-inch fan, you get all the duct work. They supply you with the cable to connect to your computer. It's all there. So you take it for what it is. The buttons up front, I'm getting used to those compared to the old style buttons. I see faults in both, but you know, that's a little bit cleaner of a look. Now granted, I have to figure out, because I'm used to this style, it's only 3 buttons. I mean, we're talking about simple here. You really can't screw this up, but I did a couple of times by hitting autofocus instead of start. Which changes the focus, by the way. The fact that it has autofocus, that is fantastic. The autofocus works very well unless you're doing clear materials or anything that would cause the beam to either reflect back or pass through, and then it gets all wonky. However, when you want to change lenses, then the autofocus only is set for the stock lens, which is the 110 by 110, or the f160 or f170 lens, whichever one comes with your machine. So drawbacks, pluses, you know, it's completely up to you to register them how you want. All in all, you know, the machines work great. We absolutely love the fact of the UV, that it can engrave just about everything. We've even run some tests on cutting thin polycarbonate and cutting thin G10 material, or whatever the circuit board material is. I haven't run any other tests on cutting. We tried some glass and I was just too damn impatient to wait. So now here's the big kicker between the fiber and the UV. If you have a fiber, or you heard everybody talk about fibers and then we talk about UVs, there isn't a damn thing fast about a UV. Okay, the fact that it can engrave just about every surface, that's the plus. At times it's slow. I mean, you're talking at times I found that you're engraving, or, you know, at 100 millimeters a second, where I'm used to engraving at 1,000 over here on the fiber. So doing certain materials is going to be a lot slower. The engraves are a lot better on wood, less residue, but just it's going to take some time. So the fact that the material library that's been worked is relatively extensive for the UV. There's plenty for the fiber out there that you can find. But running tests is not that difficult. If you understand the concept behind how they function, then designing tests is really not that difficult to get into. So take what I say, as what it is for right now. Another new thing that's coming out with version 2 of the fiber in UV versus the original version is there's a camera. The idea of a camera seems pretty cool. We're not camera people though. So if I get it up and running, and I've got it so it works, but if I spend a lot of time on it, we'll make sure we do a video on it. I don't think that's going to be for us. Just because we're used to standing over it and doing what we have to do and figuring it out. But the workflow is generally the same. And again, we're not camera people. So I think it's a good concept. And it could be beneficial for those that want to play around with it. Okay, as I said once before, I pretty much said I'd show you all the camera. There's the camera mount with the lens. As soon as we're finished all the editing of the videos and everything else, but real quick, the lens gets changed out really quick and easy by doing this. And then again, there's the camera. There's the vent hole that, we talked about earlier, and the rotary plug. I will say the combination of the Rotoboss low roller and this Aurora is absolutely fantastic. So to me, it's a must. You can hear the fans going in the back. That's the internal fans keeping everything cool. There's the bed I was talking about. So, for instance, I drew a mark here. You may or may not be able to see. And I wanted to see if the head was directly in the middle of the bed, and on this, on the version 2, it is. I didn't think it was because I was used to this version here, which it is not centered. I love the fact that, and I don't know about the other manufacturers, I love the fact that Thunder sends you a thumb drive, and if you're getting the UV, the thumb drive specifically to the UV, and vice versa for the fiber, that has all the correction files, that has all the documents that you need on it to get it loaded into the Lightburn for Galvos. Here's one issue that we run into versus us for the old and the new. The fiber, there was nothing on those files. The correction files came in as nothing, still the default settings in Lightburn. I spoke to a gentleman yesterday who we pulled up his thumb drive, same thing. I'm not sure if that's the manufacturer's, if they're supposed to be doing that, if they forgot to do it, if they're not doing it, I don't know. However, the UV came in damn near perfect. I had to do some work with the scale. Other than that, both lenses for the UV came in just fine, minus the scale. Therefore, again, I don't know what that is. Maybe it was just the day of the week. Whether it's boxed up on a Monday, a Friday, or a Wednesday. I don't know. But, I know for tech support here in the U.S., that's something for them to keep advised of as well as sales. But there's some fantastic videos out there with Lightburn of how to do the lens correction. Lightburn and Laser Everything has some videos to do that. I'm not going to do that because the process is a pain in the ass. I think the first time I did it, it took me 3.5 hours to walk through every step. And that's what I told the gentleman yesterday on the phone was, take your time and do it right. Now, do you have to do it? No. But if you want to project a 2 millimeter by 2 millimeter square or barrier and then engrave inside of that or make the edges line up, then absolutely it's a must. But if you're just trying to throw a name on a business card or a name somewhere, it may distort it a little bit if it's that far off. But it's up to you. I've already seen that people don't put the work into learning as they should. With these, by going through those lens corrections, you start to learn about the machine. So completely up to you. That's just kind of what we found so far. So we've covered, old and new. I don't know what else to tell you about it. It is a fantastic machine. I absolutely love the ability to engrave. We've done black, shiny acrylic. We've done white acrylic. We've done glass, wood, and multiple species of wood. We've done some plastics, all different damn types of plastics. Manufactured our own PLA and PETG. So far, we've been real happy with the results. At times you can actually, we say change the color, but it's more of tones and shifts in whites and grays, and blacks. So don't think that when we talk about changing color that you're going to get purple or red or some shit like that out of it. You may not. For instance, the leatherettes. I think we've done just about every leatherette there is, even the pain in the ass blue with the silver, the brown with the gold. We didn't do any of the black with the gold, but we found settings for those. They're relatively quick, very minimal, if any, cleanup. So far, it's been fantastic. Engraved on a golf ball. So we've tested it out on a variety of things. Because of the way the UV works, it doesn't heat up the material, therefore releasing some of the toxic gases that may be in that said material, like some of the plastics. So when you look at something like that, it is great. Yes, it's a the drawback is it's a galvo head and you have a very small bed. All of them are like that compared to the gantries. So you just got to do with what you got to do. But I've opened up a barrel ring and put them in the machines. So it can be done. You just got to be a little ingenuitous, per se, about it and figure it out what's going to work for you. So again, I hope you learned something with this. If you got any questions about either machine, let me know. I'm more than happy to help. If it's a true technical question, then for the love of God, ask tech support. Don't ask me. Other than that, I hope you all have a great day.